Hey everybody, it's Jillian. So, I've been seeing for the last 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, ever since actually 2012, people talking about third eye blind, which is the name of a artist or group music, and everyone's talking about the pineal gland or the pineal gland. I don't know how you say it. I should look up the pronunciation. But I hear so much about the third eye, and I hear third eye is like people's descriptions or their characterization of a third eye is like your access to spirituality. But what the hell is spirituality? Spirituality, it could be a demon, it could be an angel, it could be biochemistries, whatever they are. And there are people out there that are in the holistic world, in the crystal healing world, morning Emily, that claim that they have opened up their third eye and they're doing ayahuasca. And I'm not going to dispute that, because what is a third eye and what's the point of it, and what is a specific measurable result of it? Now, you could say that lucid dreaming is like a third eye. Okay, potentially. I did a lot of, when I was, God, I remember working 3 to midnight a long time ago for Lucky's, which is a grocery company. And I would stay up all night and hang out and party with people, and then get up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and then rollerblade to work, because I was living near San Jose State, and I was working at that downtown Lucky's, and I would actually take my rollerblades because on like, you know, right through, I was like the other side of campus, and I would take my rollerblades and go, to work. But right before I would have to get up, I would be hitting my alarm and I would be lucid dreaming. Now, I guess that could be like a third eye, but I don't know. I mean, it's like a between conscious and between unconscious, because you have to get up, but you still want to sleep, and so you're in between the two worlds. But this is really different than lucid dreaming. So here's the thing: I had an experience the other night that I can't even explain. It's nothing like lucid dreaming. And I don't want to discount someone saying that they have opened a third eye and whatever, because who am I to say that they didn't have an experience or what they thought was? And but I'll just say this: that this was different. This was vastly different than what I experienced with lucid dreaming. The other night, I felt like I was like on my back, and I was in between the state of consciousness and unconsciousness. My husband wasn't actually sleeping in the bed; he was downstairs doing something. So I think that was probably the reason why, is because I guess since I had all the energy in my bed myself, my dog was at the foot of the bed, and I had it on my own. I think my husband's energy kind of overtakes things. So yeah, I can see how he could probably interrupt any potential third eye experience, because I haven't had it, and at all. And then lately, I'd been dealing with that menopause type situation where I'm not feeling any, I don't have any period, and I was having hot flashes for about almost a month, but they're gone now. And not because I'm menopausal, it's just that I'm in a different part of evolution on the healing process. So I'm not on a death disintegration process. I'm on actually a life, integration process. So, anyways, I felt like I was opening up my eyes in the dark. Okay, and I could see now. I could feel myself open. I feel myself trying to open, like I was opening up my eyes. Like I feel myself opening my eyes. Not that, and I wasn't looking at my TV was on. We have this huge TV in the bedroom. My TV was on. I was seeing no light, but it was just a darkness with very, you know, um, geometric shapes and faces that I couldn't really tell what they were, but I can kind of see traces of what they could be. But nothing came to like real, real distinct. It was really undistinct, but it was still, you can tell there were shapes. And then some weird kind of like, hormonal oxytocin type of experience for about maybe a minute. And then I woke up going like, what the hell just happened? And it was just so weird. And I'm like, and I can't, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm thinking like, is this some kind of weird, I don't say sex dream, because there was no sex involved. It was just a weird, like, there was some kind of, something went on within my hormones, within my chakras during that period of time, that it ended up in a real, just amazing bliss. I don't even want to say pleasure, because that's not really the point of it. It was just like a very blissful feeling, like such a blissful feeling that, like, you could take all your blissful experiences in the world, and it would probably potentially match up to this feeling. So, but I have never had that before. Okay, and so when you can feel yourself opening up your eyes and your eyes are closed and you're sleeping, then someone, Allison Lucy, I forget her name. She was saying, "Yeah, that could be your third eye opening." I'm like, "Oh my God, that potentially that could be. I could probably characterize that. I mean, potentially. I don't know. I have no frame of reference of what a third eye opening is. I just know that's an experience I had that was vastly different than the lucid dreaming and all the different things people do when when there are different levels of biochemical consciousness. Now, here's another new word we can create: biochemical consciousness, but biochemical consciousness is based upon your biochemistry at the time and what are you tapping into, and then what are you attracting in on the other side, or the different dimensions that are all around you, but only certain people can tap into different dimensions based upon their biochemistry and the clarity of their biochemistry. So I could probably safely say that my biochemistry is pretty clear, probably clearer than most out there. Now, am I having these type of things every night? No. I barely even dream, and I've had a few dreams, but I don't remember what they are, but they're so benign that they're not even worth mentioning. They're just, activity that happens while I'm sleeping, but that's it. But nothing like I had when I first started having the dreams on the J juice, where the vivid colors, and some of you who are on the J juice and are experiencing the dreams of just major colors and floating around and flying around, almost like astral projection. And that's what I definitely did experience, within the last like 4 years on the J juice, because I was in the process of, yes, clearing your pineal gland, but also clearing out all the excess gunk. And you're going to have biochemical fluctuations that, yes, and then you have cell memories that are also being purged as well. And so there's a lot of things going on when you're sleeping. But I would say that this specific instant, that was the other night when I said, because John was saying something that I was responding to, and then I'm like, I felt like I didn't feel like I needed to share it because I couldn't really figure out what it was, and I didn't, and it was just like, but then when Allison was saying that it could be a third eye opening, I'm like, that could potentially be it, because I felt like my eyes were opening while I was sleeping, and I don't think I would have, even before, before Allison was saying this, and before even I was able to even articulate, I would never say I felt like I was opening my eyes while I was sleeping, because that's something like, who does that? Now, I've felt where I was in sleep paralysis before, where I couldn't move anything, much less open my eyes. I couldn't move a muscle. I've had that before. But this was not like that. And that has a fear feeling. You feel fear when you are in a sleep paralysis where you feel like you can't move, but you know something is around, or you're sort of conscious, but you just can't move. And that's kind of probably like an ALS patient who is aware of its surroundings and aware of a lot of things, but they can't move. And that's definitely not it. That was not what I was feeling. It was a very comfortable, blissful feel towards the end. But yeah, it was staring into a darkness, and I was like wanting to see things. Like I felt like I was wanting to see things, wanting to touch something. There felt like there was some kind of consciousness on that when I was looking into that darkness, and it was just it's the most surreal thing. But I really couldn't really articulate, so I just didn't even really want. I mean, I didn't really talk about it too much or say anything about it until John was saying some stuff to where then I was able to articulate. And I'm like, I did have an experience like that, or not, or I don't know what he said, but I did have an experience to where I felt, I think he was talking about, I don't know, I was talking about incubus and succubus at some point. But I don't think, because that's the only thing I could put as far as a frame of reference when it comes to a blissful feeling while you're sleeping is like incubus and succubus. But it wasn't even that, because incubus and succubus have like a demonic, fearful, ugly connotation, pejorative type of experience, and it wasn't like that. But that's the only thing I could put my finger on. But when you think about it, it was definitely not something demonic. It was definitely something that was blissful. It was a whole different experience. Like, when you have that mother, when that mother daughter, like I remember feeling a long time ago a major blissful bonding feeling with my mom a long time ago when I was a kid. It was a feeling like that, but even like 20 times over. But it was in my lower chakras. It wasn't in my higher chakras. So, I could call him a reproductive demon, but I don't think he was even a demon, because that whole experience was not demonic. It really wasn't. It was very, very different. So, anyways, as far as third eye, I mean, what would be the draw? Why would someone want to open their third eye? I have no idea. why people think that that's something to aspire to, I have no idea, because it's, yeah, it's another state of consciousness, but what do you get out of it, and why do you even want to do that? What would be the point? For those that are not doing JJ's, why would you want to chase after something like that? I'm not chasing after third eye. That was never ever my intent. Even on the JJ's, people were saying, "Oh yeah, the pineal gland's getting decalcified. You'll have a straight shot to the universe." But then, what does that mean? And what would you get out of that? And what are the benefits? And I think clarity. I think clarity in the conscious world that you live in, where you're not fighting anybody, you're not bitter, you're not pissed off, you're not trying to change somebody's mind or trying to impose your belief system. You're finally at peace and realize that really it is you, and how you interact with the world is your peace, your personal peace, your personal evolution. It's your personal journey that really matters. And I think that's probably what is there to offer when you actually do graduate to a point of a third eye opening, is when you finally realize that you really have only power within your world, and that you can change your world, and it can be as peaceful as you want it to be, and it could be as ugly as you want it to be. And maybe that is the draw of, and what people are trying to aspire to, but they just don't have the words. So when they're playing with their hormones, that could be to them what a third eye opening is. And okay, fine. I mean, but to take it even further with the J juice is not dying. It's not saying I'm going to ascend to some other type of plane in a spiritual sense, but no body, because that's not the J juice world. The J juice world is where you stay here on this earth with the potential clarity of a third eye opening and a clear pineal gland decalcified on this earth, able to manifest peace on this earth in body, mind, and spirit, despite all the chaos around you. Because you're not trying to make your neighbor think the way you do. You're not trying to impose your belief systems on other people. You're not trying to vote in a consciousness. Okay, no, that is like the old world, is voting in a consciousness, trying to overtake somebody, trying to annihilate someone, trying to destroy someone. No, I think what the new world is giving people the choices, and then just like the Freemasons, they give you all the choices. Now, I'm not saying the Freemasons are God, but their whole thing with the G and that representation of God and the architects of the universe and the architects of our society, I think that that's their whole premise, is to give you all the information. And if you choose to go down a disintegration process of bitterness and imposition, or imposing your values on somebody without giving them the latitude to choose their, that then fine, that's your choice, and it'll absolve them from any responsibility of being a destroyer. Okay, they're taking a virus, whatever, however they've configured it, whether it's like with intention or organic. Okay, is there anything really organic in this world? No, but I mean, just to put a kind of a qualifier so you can see there is a difference. If you don't, if you know that somebody intentionally bonded viral proteins together, then it's synthetic. But if you don't know where it came from, then you can call it organic. So really, organic is about ignorance. It's not really so much about it naturally occurring, because everything is naturally occurring. But no matter what, despite what somebody else's intentions are, you will have the ability, with the right chemistry and the knowledge and the clarity, to be able to balance out people's intentions, whatever they are. And I think that is the ultimate goal of the Freemasons, though through our messed up biochemistry and our brainwashing of looking for a savior out there, looking for someone to blame out there, that that people are going to interpret this depopulation as something bad. When in actuality, do you really want people who are toxic in your household living right next to you in the next room, always poisoning, the whole well, and causing chaos in your house? No, you get rid of people that are trying to undermine you. Not get rid of, like, in a bad sense, but you're trying to now put boundaries. You don't want to invite people in your world that are toxic. Why are they so toxic? Because they have imbalances. No, you don't want to destroy them or annihilate them. You want them to be far away, and then they can have their own world. But you don't want them to I don't know, to jade your whole existence. You don't want them to mess with you. Okay? And so that's that's kind of the world that we live in right now, is that our ability our ability or inability to be able to put down boundaries. So anyways, um so yeah. So yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so that's what the depopulation agenda is eradicating and putting down boundaries, and potentially give people the choice whether or not, they want to adapt or choose to disintegrate faster. Because people choose to disintegrate because that's their choice as far as their belief systems, but now they're accelerating your belief systems. So now you can disintegrate faster and it'll still be your choice because you still have the knowledge. I mean, that's why it was mainstreamed. That's why, Dr. Phil put me out there, and he's part of the Freemasons. Okay, and he's already invested in his world, so he's probably not going to do J Juice. I'd be very surprised. He won't do J Juice. He's too far gone for him to go through that kind of process. So he's already invested in a belief system, but still, the Freemasons want to give you all the choices. They say, okay, here's the knowledge of good and evil. You figure it out. What's evil? Evil is de-evolution. That's all evil is. Evil is nothing more than just somebody choosing to devolve, somebody choosing to destroy or try to destroy somebody else, but in the not too far away, they're going to destroy themselves. And so that's what you're dealing with. And so now with the J's, you'll have the strength to understand that there are those that will devolve. There are those that will choose that devolution, and you just be like, okay, I'm sorry that that's your choice, and you just take care of yourself. Take care of those that want to evolve, and you're not politicizing what's going on out there. If the system decides that wearing masks is something to do, then just adapt to it. It's not going to hurt you. If there are industries that are forcing you to wear a mask, then don't work for that industry. Okay? There's plenty of industries to work for and do where you don't have to wear a mask every single day. But if you don't have a wide enough breadth of skills to be able to diversify your ability to make money, then yes, you're going to be pigeonholed having to wear a mask every single day and be bitter about it, and then that's your own choice. Okay? So, I think that's what the third eye opening is the fact you're finally at peace with what you can and cannot control. And you're not actively bitter, spewing hatred and vitriol, and you're not voting in a consciousness. You are the consciousness. You are peace. You are harmony. You are balance. That's what I think the third eye. When you finally get access to the third eye, it's like a reward to say, okay, you find that's in my opinion. Now somebody else can have a totally different characterization of third eye, and that's fine. But that's what I think it is, because that's where I'm at today. I'm like at a point where I'm like, dude, if the COVID gets totally out of control and they're doing lockdowns and whatever else, and I'm around people who have been, tested positive, and they want to, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm just going to, I'll still figure out ways to protect myself and my dog and my husband, and he will find ways to protect himself. But it's not something that I'm going to really focus on as something to worry about, because, there's nothing that they're going to do that's going to harm me in the long run or the short run. I can only harm myself in the long run or short run, but no one else can harm me in the long run or the short run, because there are still laws and rules that those that are still architects of all this still have to abide by. And if you understand how the game is played, you won't have to worry about anything. But you have to understand how games are played. If you don't understand the rules of the game, you don't understand the strategy of it, then you will be then subject to somebody else's strategy. Okay? And so Jilly Juice is really a strategy. J Juice is a strategy. It's a strategy above all strategies out there, because it's about facing your own evolution. And nobody out there is wanting to face their own evolution outside of J Juice. They're all trying to anesthetize themselves, distract themselves, vote in, their evolution. I mean, I'm telling you, everyone out there that's not doing J Juice is distracted and not understand the strategy of what we're doing. And so, I just count my blessings that I am able to see through all of this. And no matter what happens, whether on the elections or COVID or all that stuff, those that are meant to evolve will evolve, and those that are meant to devolve, well, you're watching them right now having a freaking hissy fit over everything. Their whole timeline is filled with like, oh my God, you have to wear a mask. Oh my God, I'm so bitter. You could feel the bitterness, and believe me, I was there. I wasn't there too long ago, you know. But when you realize what the worst can happen, which is like the FEMA camps and all that stuff, and then concentration camps, which is really who knows if that's even a fear or not. But that's the worst that could happen. The best that could happen is that you are one of that 500 million that they are trying to keep alive. Okay? That you don't have to be subject to the depopulation agenda. Because depopulation is not extinction. So understand that. The J juicers do not have to be subject to the depopulation agenda if you understand the process. That's it. I mean, and so, if you happen to have an experience that is not like lucid dreaming, not like, like the beginning of J juice, like an experience like what I've had, which it may happen down the road. But somebody say, oh, I've had that happen, where I feel like, okay, fine. That's fine. But the real specific measurable result is reversing the aging process, totally at peace with everyone and everything. For me, I've stopped my period, and that's what I've told you guys before, that when I finally, and I've been going back and forth because I didn't really know whether or not stopping your period would be a sign, because the universe right now, the environment is so aggressive with all the viruses, but like the body should be able to adapt to the conditions regardless of how aggressive it is. Now, obviously, if you're in like a war-torn area, you got to get out of bombs flying and guns and bullets and shooting past you. Okay, yeah. But just simply viruses that are swirling around and different bacteria, a body that's so well balanced should be able to adapt to that without having to drop insurance policies, because that's what reproduction is. It's insurance policies in case the copy is not going to survive. And so when you have insurance policies dropping every single month, it means that the body is continuously trying to adapt to a new environment, trying to adapt. Now that I'm not, having a period, well, this is my specific measurable result, that I finally reached a certain point that I think is the ultimate in my world as far as J juice. Now, you guys will have your own characterization of what is the ultimate for you. And some of you may get plateaued because you're not doing any more J juice and you're distracted, or you have other things going on. And so you probably have a lot more evolution to do, but you're okay at this point. But maybe you have 7 or 8 or 9 rungs ahead of you that you could be getting to, but right now you're okay with status quo. Some of you may already be there at that point where you're halfway in between your evolution, and it's perfectly fine where you're at, and you're going to still do whatever you're going to do, and you're going to kind of lay off the J juice and just kind of enjoy, not evolving, but just, adapting to whatever conditions, playing lightly with all the crazy things going on. Okay, fine. But remember, the environment becomes more aggressive. You're going to have to now not only deal with still your past predispositions, but now the new ones are going to be coming up because you still haven't evolved. So it's better to not stop J juice and to keep continuing, because the environment is still going to keep being more aggressive, where you're going to have to keep upgrading and finally get to a certain point where you know the ultimate is, and that really is peace. That's the specific measurable result, is peace within you, within your own body, mind, and spirit. And that manifests all over your Facebook. So if you're all over your Facebook, you're still in the politics, you're still trying to impose your belief system, you still have so much hatred, and you look back and you read your own Facebook, you're like, oh my God, I sound so bitter. Oh my God, I sound so aggressive. Oh my God, I sound so this, I sound so that. And there really isn't like an intelligence, but it's more emotional. When you have more emotions on your Facebook, that should probably tell you that you still have imbalances that maybe you need to look at. Okay? But hey, if you don't want to be at peace, and you want to impose, and you want to feel like you need to take a side, like a major side, then that's your choice. Okay. But I'm telling you, you can't do J juice and that at the same time and think that J juice is going to help you over time. No, your vitriol, your hatred, you're taking a side, all of your war within is going to overtake any potential peace and prosperity and harmony. And you'll never exemplify that for your kids as well as your community, and so you'll just contribute more to the wars. So I knew the activism bred. Yes, it does breed innovation on some level, but it also breeds annihilation. And I swear that I knew it. But how do you articulate something like that when it's been bred into you, when even the conspiracy world has been infiltrated by those that are looking for a war? Okay? So, if there's a way to get around the mask thing. I have a mask that has mesh. I mean, it was double lined, and then I just took off the second lining, and so there's holes where I can breathe, but it's still there enough to catch whatever excess spittle. But I'm telling you, viruses are like microscopic. They're not these big, large globs of mucus, which, yeah, okay, but they get airborne, they get aerosol. There's no way to stop viruses from floating around, but that is some people's perception of protection, and sometimes you just have to give people the perception, because that's what gives them the peace of mind. Whether or not it actually is protecting them, it doesn't even matter. It's the peace of mind and the perception that's protection. And okay, if that's what it takes to make people feel comfortable with their surroundings, fine. Okay, fine. But will I put myself in a situation where I'm wearing a mask every single day? Probably not. I'll find a way where either I work from home or I work out there in a community where I'm kind of on my own, not around people. But if I ever have to, I would, and I would definitely up the JJ because, yeah, I mean, breathing in my own stuff. But I mean, I think that when you are strong on the J juice, you could handle wearing a mask every day too. But would I really want to? Probably not. I don't see that as a daily thing for me. But some people, are okay with that, and that's fine. Or they just have to be because they've pigeonholed themselves into that profession. They can't diversify. So, anyways, that's all I've got to say. I got things to do, but I just wanted to give you that my perspective on the third eye, and then my experience with that. And if you just tuned in, just repeat this video. And believe me, it's not lucid dreaming. It's not astral projection. I had definitely a different experience that I've ever had. And somebody can have a characterization of it based upon their world, their holistic world, and okay, fine. But I have a lot of other factors that are involved. It's not just that experience alone. Because this experience alone, in the context of somebody that has issues, may have other things going on that they've mischaracterized based upon the context. Now, context is like an artificial boundary, but remember, biochemical consciousness comes into play. So that's another word that I'm going to make up, is biochemical consciousness. That person who may have had the same experience I did and say, okay, well, I had the third eye, opening, whatever, when I was doing ayahuasca. Well, that is your biochemical consciousness that is very vastly different than mine, because I'm not doing drugs. Okay? I'm not playing with my hormones, playing with my chakras. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm going through an evolution. And I think this new COVID, the new strain that's going around, I mean, my dog felt it. She had definitely an upgrade a couple weeks, like a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago. And then I felt the whole hot flashes, the sweating overnight. So I think I had some kind of aspect of the COVID affecting my evolution, bring me to another point of evolution, as other people are going to another point of de-evolution because they're on that death trajectory, that disintegration process. So I'm in a different biochemical consciousness than those that are playing with ayahuasca and doing other things and say they experienced the same thing that I did. Okay? So that's a difference. All right. Have a good day. Bye.